Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you want to understand your rising sign in your birth chart and how it actually leads you to your soul's purpose, then stay tuned. I decided that we have to talk about the rising sign more because I feel like it's the most underestimated thing in your birth chart. A lot of people talk about the sun sign, the moon sign, and the importance of both of these placements, and that's true. But from my point of view, the rising sign is even more important for a couple of reasons. First of all, the rising sign is always on the left side of your birth chart. That's where you can find it. It's the ascendant. And it's so important to understand your ascendant and to know your exact birth time because the ascendant changes every 2 hours approximately. And that's really, really significant because depending on your ascendant, all of the other houses are set up in your birth chart because the ascendant is always on the left side of your birth chart. And obviously, if you are a Scorpio ascendant, then the first house is influenced by Scorpio, the second house by Sagittarius, and so on and so forth, right? If you're a Cancer ascendant, then the first house will be Cancer, the second house will be Leo, and so on. So it's really, really important for you to understand what your rising sign is so you understand which zodiac signs influence which houses. Obviously, maybe you have an interception and then it can be a little bit off, but generally speaking, it's really, really important to understand your rising sign, to understand how the other houses in your birth chart are influenced, which zodiac signs are in the houses, right? And that will indicate, the structure of your soul and your psyche. But there is actually another really, really important factor that plays into the whole story of your rising sign, because rising sign, as I mentioned before, is one of the most important decisions your soul could ever make. And when you open yourself up to the concept of your soul choosing the exact time of birth and the rising sign changing every 2 hours, you can imagine that it was a really, really significant decision of your soul to come through with a specific rising sign. A lot of people say the rising sign is, the mask that we wear, our first impression of the world and the first impression that we have on other people. And I think that's true to a certain degree, but what we have to understand is the word in itself, rising sign, right? It's the rising sign. And when you believe in the concept of reincarnation, your soul coming here because of Pluto. Pluto is the soul in your birth chart, and that's literally the reason why you are here. And you watch my video about desires, and that will make even more sense because I literally went into the whole concept of desires and how Pluto in itself represents the desire of the soul to transform in this lifetime, right? So you are only here because your soul has a specific desire to transform, and that's indicated by Pluto in your birth chart. So when you know that and you understand that the soul came here with a specific desire represented by Pluto in your birth chart, and then the North Node and the South Node can indicate what the story around that is, and obviously all of the other placements as well. But it's really important to understand that your rising sign then will always support the transformative process that your soul wants to have in this lifetime. And the reason for that is that, it's the rising sign. So the word in itself indicates that this sign has to rise in your consciousness so you can transform. So that's the first transformative process of your soul. You came here, for example, as a Sagittarius rising because you want to rise the consciousness and the awareness of your own inner truth, of your own inner philosophies, and you approach the world through that lens so you can finally come to the conclusion of what is my truth, what is my philosophy, what is the truth of the cosmos maybe, who am I, separate from other people. That's really, really important because the polarity point of Sagittarius would be Gemini, all the details. And maybe your soul wants to filter all these details in everything that you do, so you can find out what your truth is. And that's the rising sign. That's why it's rising. And that's also why it's the first house and why it's the ascendant. So that's really important to understand. And obviously, depending on what rising sign you have, you want to observe how that's true for you in your birth chart and your story. And the reading could help you to find that out as well. I think it's really important to see the rising sign through that lens, that it's actually the sign that is rising is also rising in your consciousness. That's the best way to explain the rising sign in really, really simple forms. It's not just the mask that you wear or, you know, the first impression that you have on the world. It is, but it is for a reason. Like there's more depth to that than just this basic description. And I want you to know that and to see that. And then obviously you also have the ruling planet of your rising sign that helps you to also figure out how to transform the Pluto desire that you have. So I want you to really explore your rising sign and find out how this is true for you and your unique story, and you can definitely share that down below. But I believe that the rising sign is also something that we have to grow into. And that's why it's such a significant decision that your soul made. Not just because it influences all of the houses, but also because every single thing that you do through the lens of the rising sign, because this rising sign has to rise in your consciousness in order for your soul to make this really, really significant transformation. I hope that this is somewhat clear, because I think it's a really, really important understanding for you to be able to really, really explore the story of your soul and, you know, the reason why you are here, and also observe how you approach things. Because when you see I am a Cancer rising, so maybe you have to, you know, raise that nurturing aspect inside of you. Maybe you have to raise all of the emotions. Maybe you are blocked in your emotions, and you really, really, really want to ignite that inside of your soul, and that's a really, really significant journey in your life, and it actually indicates, you know, how you can come about your North Node placement. So it would be really interesting to explore that. For me, as a Sagittarius rising, it's definitely true. Like, I had to go through a lot of transformation in order for me to find my own truth, to find my inner calling. But I also know, looking back in hindsight, that I always saw through the chatter and, you know, the superficial things. I never could explain why that is, but now I know why, because I always investigated, so I find my own truth and my own calling in a way. And that's a really, really significant thing for me. And on top of that, I have my ruling planet, like my chart ruler, so to speak, so the ruling planet of Sagittarius in the 9th house, which is the house of Sagittarius. So there's a lot more to my story personally, but I really want you to observe how the rising sign is influencing your life and actually helping you to discover your purpose, to explore the world in a way where you can find your purpose because of the rising sign. And also seeing how much of your rising sign you already integrated, because that's, you know, the first transformation that you so wanted to make is to rise that sign in your consciousness. And chances are that in the past, your rising sign was one of the signs that was maybe less developed. And maybe that's why it's the rising sign now. So it's also something that you want to grow into more. And then, you know, you will shine that from the inside out, and you will understand it even more. So I think it's not just, you know, the mask that you wear automatically. I think it's something that is deep down inside of you, set up from your soul to feel and to experience and to grow into, but it's not something that is really, really intrinsic and natural, because that's more so your moon sign. I hope that this is somewhat clear, but it was, yeah, I think it's really interesting to observe that. And every time I read someone and I approach it in that way, it's really, really mind-blowing, because to be really honest with you, I had a lot of readings where I saw that people had a specific rising sign and I really didn't see them that way. So I saw it from, you know, that lens, and I saw how they still have to almost reactivate that rising sign inside of them, because we have every single, you know, energy of every single zodiac sign inside of us. Sometimes it's just a matter of where is our focus. It's the same thing with intercepted signs. Most of the time, these intercepted signs, it's not that you don't have access to these signs, it's just that your soul chose to not have so much focus on them. So sometimes it's even, depending on, you know, what kind of interception you have, sometimes it's actually easier to be in that energy of that intercepted sign, but it's just that it's not part of your destiny, so it's intercepted and almost swallowed, because it's not that important, I guess, for you to put a focus on that. There are other areas in your life that need more focus and more development, because in the end, when you look at the grand scheme of things, we all want to have balance in all the zodiac signs. We want to literally embody everything and come back to one, right? To oneness. That's the journey of all of us in these lifetimes. And yeah, it's really interesting to see and to explore what your journey and what your transformation, what you work through in this lifetime, basically. And your rising sign will definitely help you figure that out, because again, it's the sign that rises in your consciousness. So yeah, let me know what your rising sign is, and if you want to explore your chart even more, find your own truth, your own transformation, then definitely let me know. You can find all the links down below to book a reading with me. I would love to explore your chart with you, to find your truth, because Sag rising, want to know the truth, right? And yeah, I hope to speak to you soon. If you want to learn about astrology, you can find me also on Instagram, where I share daily updates, and on my podcast, The Magic Kathi Show, where I dive deeper in these topics and share all the things that I explore in this world, so I can help you connect with the universe, connect with the cosmos, and connect with your magic.